Chicago doesn't even know. You guys are a bunch of bums, a bunch of weirdos. Is what you.
Sekulic. Delivery is a good one for Duran, and the Fire finally.
Basically, Chicago isn't very good.
No,
that's just what it boils down to.
Across, it falls for Shaqiri.
I'm not really worried about this team scoring too many goals.
Duran, all by himself, and the Colombian puts this one to bed. It's a brace for the 18-year-old, and 3 points in the back for Chicago.
If this team scores on us and we don't walk away with 3 points, we might want to be looking at ourselves and be like, maybe we aren't good enough to be in the playoffs. Yes. We got to make a little fun of ourselves because we look like complete idiots. Welcome to episode 14 of Battered Herons. Like you just heard, we were a little off on our predictions, Chris.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna eat the Chicago hot dogs, but I'll eat my words for sure.
Yeah,
that was amazing. You just made me laugh I was red all over laughing.
Well, it was rough, man. I mean, we're obviously not media experts. We're fans and we speak from the heart. And I really thought that we were going to get this. 10 days off. You have 10 days to rest your body and prepare for a team that has been pitiful offensively. I know we had 2 rough games before this, but we were getting on a roll as of late. I just thought that everything was set up nicely to get on this nice playoff push. And I hear the dong. I see Undertaker walking down the aisle. Those playoff chances are getting this small.
I think it's granted to sort of feel that this was the game that was going to make the turnaround for us, put us in the right direction. I mean, look, anybody that looks at the stats, that looks at the opponent, they're going to feel the same way. So I don't think that we were wrong in our assumption. I just feel like,
we're dead wrong.
In the sense of obviously after the match, yeah, it's completely different. But before, I think a lot of people would have felt the same as we did. And, Chicago came out to play. They beat us and they beat us and they beat us.
Well, a couple of things. We should have taken into account the fact that we're a horrible road team. I mean, yeah. we are dreadful on the road. It's amazing how different we look at home when you compare to how we play on the road.
It's scary.
And then the Damian Lowe injury came out absolutely nowhere. Like I didn't hear about this until the day of the game. I'm like, when the hell did he get injured? Supposedly during practice the day before, but I didn't hear anything about it until a little while before the game started.
Yeah, that's one thing that came out of the blue. Then we got the Marsman creep up with him starting the game. A couple days before it was announced that he was going to start. There was just a lot of things just happening around and about, and it was just kind of weird approaching the game.
Well, I guess let's get straight into it then. The starting 11. You already brought up Marsman. We got Marsman because apparently he helps us offensively because of the way he connects with everybody with his feet. How did that go yesterday? I mean, Did it really make that big of a difference? I mean, I understand they were pressing. They were pressing, and it was, you could tell that we were having a hard time stringing any passes along. The first half, I felt like it was just long balls because we couldn't get anything going. But Marsman didn't help with that. I would have preferred Drake back there with what we got from Marsman.
Well, and it's funny because a lot of the saves that he had or not saves, I feel like it could have been maybe different if Drake Callender was playing goalie during the game. I mean, I don't know. I mean, with 20/20 hindsight, everything is always a little bit easier, a little different. But I still believe that I would have felt more comfortable, and maybe the team would have felt more comfortable with Callender back there for sure.
I mean, the first goal was a low cross that got deflected and then got hit up in the air, and then your boy Duran, your boy Duran got that header on. Does Drake get to that? I don't know. Does he have a better chance than Marsman? I mean, because I'm biased and I think that he's a better goalie, I think that maybe he gets to it, maybe not. I mean, that deflection threw a lot of the defenders and the goalie off. But, I mean, that was the first one. And the second was also off of a deflection. So Chicago I mean, they were obviously the better team yesterday, but they weren't necessarily clean goals. I mean, except for that last one, they weren't really clean goals. They were both off of some misplayed
Bad
defense. I guess.
defense.
Yeah,
Bad defense.
I mean, Shaqiri wasn't marked. That goal that he got off that deflection, he was completely by himself. I'm not sure. I don't know if Yedlin missed marking him or what, but he was completely by himself when he caught that ball off that deflection. It was just a messy game. Like, it didn't feel like they just had 10 days off.
Well, and not only did it not feel like if they had so much time off to sort of recuperate, but then you're also talking about where a lot of people were missing their marks. You got a lot of people that were playing pretty poor defense. Obviously, missing Low on defense is just, it's critical. It's critical to this team. I mean, before we started the podcast, I mentioned to you briefly about some of the changes that they're making in the starting 11. I mean, just the last 3 games to me have been really, really weird. And I don't want to get on this, fire Phil stuff, because I still believe that he's doing very well as a coach. But I'm starting to really have some questions here, right? We're go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm not on the fire Phil boat. Yes, I talk to my father about this all the time. And he wanted Phil fired in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Now, I always go back and forth with him because I don't think it's necessarily something that would help us, especially right now in the middle of the season when we have this playoff push. Yeah. But I will tell you that if you see that Indiana Vassilev is playing like crap for the last few games, but you still put him in the starting lineup repeatedly, I start to question what you're doing, because to me it's apparent Bryce Duke needs to be on the field.
Yeah.
And I feel like Pozuelo plays best when he's playing with Bryce Duke next to him.
Yeah. And it's tough because they typically play 3, I guess, very consistent midfielders. It's always going to be the Pozuelo, Mota, Gregory.
Always, for sure.
I'm just gonna look at some of the starting lineups from when they played the Red Bulls up until now. The only change that you have is the game that Pozuelo was out. Duke started that game. And then you have this last game where Pozuelo just took his rightful place back in the starting lineup. Now, on the wings is where it gets a little weird. And on the defense, that's another place where it gets pretty weird. But on the wings, we have Lassiter and Vassilev that started against the Red Bulls. Then you got Lassiter and Taylor, so they benched Vassilev. And then the following game, which was obviously the yesterday's game, Taylor and Vassilev start with Lassiter riding the bench. So they started Vassilev against the Red Bulls. They benched him against Columbus Crew, and then they started him again against Chicago Fire. I haven't seen him make such a great impact to say, oh, well, he should have gotten that starting spot back.
You know what? It's gotten to the point where I'd rather see Emerson start.
Yeah, I mean,
I know you love Emerson, and I'm not a big Emerson fan.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'd rather see Emerson out there than Vassilev. I feel like I hate to rag on him, but he has so many opportunities to make good plays, and he just misses the mark on them. There was a play yesterday where it was basically a fast break, right? And you saw Pozuelo taking off, and Higuain was cutting in behind him.
Yes.
And all he had to do was just lead one of them with a pass. But he was in such a rush that he just sailed the ball completely over Pozuelo. He had no chance to get to it. And that was a great opportunity he had. There was another one where Pozuelo was on the right side of the box, and he crossed the ball in. And Vassilev was just a step slow in reaching out his foot, and he missed him. But I feel like somebody else might finish those plays. And Vassilev, maybe it's just bad luck. Maybe it's because it's gotten to the point where I'm so frustrated to see him out there that those plays stand out to me a little more than other bad plays by other players. But I don't want to see him in the starting lineup anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't want to see him in the starting lineup, especially because he hasn't been like Robert Taylor. To me, he's been making more of an impact than Vassilev and Lassiter. And Lassiter has been just pretty consistent. I don't want to say he's consistently good, because he hasn't been consistently bad. He's just been consistent. And then when we jump back over to the defense, you got Gibbs, McVay, Lowe, and Yedlin playing against the New York Red Bulls. Then McVay, Lowe, Saylor, and Yedlin. So they bench Gibbs. McVay moves out to the left back. You got Lowe and Sailor in the middle, and then of course Yedlin stays on the right back. And then they go back to the Gibbs, Sailor, McVay, Yedlin, obviously because Lowe's not in the game. So
But
you got
but at that point, we don't really know what his original plan was if Lowe doesn't get injured. Like, does he really put Gibbs back out there, or does he move McVay out to the left back?
I would probably assume that he'd move McVay out to the left. That would be my assumption.
I agree with you. I think he puts McVay back there, but I really hope he doesn't do that this coming week. And we'll get into that later. But the worst game that McVay has played all year long was against Columbus, and he has Columbus coming up this week. So I really hope he doesn't get to do that. But I did want to get into the I mean, not too much detail into the Chicago game because it was just horrible. But one thing that really surprised me is that we were coming off of 10 days off. And it didn't look like it. It looked like we were the tired team. We looked so blah. And Pozuelo had more than 10 days off because he didn't even play that last game. But Pozuelo, man, I don't know if it's because Bryce Duke wasn't out there to play the mid game with him. But Pozuelo, I didn't see him do anything effective. And this isn't the first time I say that. I think I said that when he played against NYCFC in that sandbox that they play in over there in Yankee Stadium. But it's really weird to see him be so ineffective. But I really didn't see him do too much other than draw that penalty late in the game.
Well, and Pozuelo, I just looked at it. He had 14 days off, basically. He played the game against the Red Bulls, got the red card, and then 14 days from that point forward was the next game for him. I didn't really see anything special from anybody other than the people that came onto the game as subs. Joman Jones impressed me, and he's typically a guy that I'm just like about. He was pretty good. Lassiter and Duke came on the field, and they were playing very, very well with the time that they had. And you could tell that you have them trying to take advantage of all the minutes that they can possibly take advantage of.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If you obviously we can't speak for the whole fan base, but but we could get an idea of more or less through Twitter and people we talk to what people think. Obviously, the three midfielders are going to be Gregory, Mota, and Pozuelo. Everybody's okay with that for the most part. But up top, if you had to choose the best three players to play up top, who would you go? Like, who do you think the most people would go with? Higuain up top, obviously, right? And then who would be the next two?
Well, I feel like a lot of people are okay with Taylor. I feel like Taylor is acceptable to have. I don't think that,
especially because he plays that wing back. He gets back on defense, so he could play wing back.
Yes.
So when they play 5 in the back or 4 in the back, he can be in the game. But what about that other spot?
I mean, I think the other spot would probably. I think a lot of people would be okay with Lassiter in that spot or Duke. I really don't know because, to be honest, with the fans that I've spoken to, and you and I have spoken to fans that you and I know mutually, and Vasilev is not a guy that really rings positively from their point of view.
I think that Lassiter should always be out in the wing if you don't want Duke out there playing the wing.
Yeah.
To me, put Duke out there and have him play different positions. Who cares? He's skilled enough where he can make it happen as long as he's not playing in the box as a striker. That's the only way I don't want to see Duke. But get him out there. From what I've seen, when Pozuelo and Duke are out there together, they make magic happen. So let's get more Bryce Duke. Get him more minutes. It makes absolutely no sense to me why he's only playing 30 minutes a game. This kid is the future.
Well, and I think that the coaching staff, the team itself, I think that they're so comfortable with Mota and Gregory playing in the middle, and really like they're stuck in quicksand in that area. They don't really go out onto the wings. They push up.
But as a holding midfield, for the most part, you want them to stay the width of course the box. You don't want them to stretch out too far. So to their defense, you don't want them too far out on the wings. You want them to hold from one end of the box to the other. That's more or less the space in which they roam.
I mean, but then if you think about it, you would have to probably take Pozuelo and put him in a wing spot, take out Lassiter, put Duke there, and put Pozuelo there and keep Duke in the midfield. Like, I mean, at least you have Pozuelo who's willing to be on the attack, where Bryce Duke is kind of just like chilling, waiting for the right time to pass. You get what I'm saying? So,
Look, I am all for just having Duke and Pozuelo out there any way you can figure it out. Just get those two guys in there together, because having Vasilev out there, I understand that you do it probably for some pace to have out on the wing, but if the pace comes with nothing at the end of that run, what's the point? It's almost like having Emerson out there.
Yeah.
Emerson runs at people, and yes, he gets the ball from one end to the other. But once he gets to the other end, he doesn't really do too many productive things with it. So it's almost pointless. Right? So
it's a little too fancy smancy in terms of like Emerson. But I mean, but that's the same thing. If you put Bryce Duke out in the wing, you got him who he's pretty fast paced as well. He's very quick. But then he's another one that's not going to act, aggressively.
But he plays the ball in well.
Yes.
I feel like he can create plays, especially when Yedlin's cutting in behind him, or Robert Taylor on the left side is cutting in behind him. He can make things happen. He can find Pozuelo in the middle. He can find Higuain in the up top. Like I feel like Bryce Duke is skilled. Get all your best players out there. I understand that you want the speed out in the wings, but when it's not really producing too much, what's the point? There is no point at this point.
Well, and I think with Vasilev, that's one of the issues that we're running into, where Vasilev is either going to have really, really good attacking moments, or a lot of, I don't want to say boneheaded, because it's not necessarily boneheaded plays, but just like a chicken with their head cut off kind of deal, where they're just kind of running, and then they gas out with like a blast up in the sky. So,
well, we got on the board, right? Higuain got that goal off the penalty kick. At that point, when we were down 2-1, I thought that we might pull out some late magic again, like we've done in the past. But we got beat on that counter, and
it was Yedlin.
It was
Yedlin with the pass. Yeah. I think he was trying to give and
pass.
Go.
Yeah, it was a lazy pass, because I felt like, well, I don't know. I don't even know, because it looked like it was a lazy pass. It got this guy, I forget who it was. What was his name? Was it Duran? No, it wasn't Duran. It was Navarro. Navarro intercepted it, led the pass to Duran, and he scored. You said Bryce Duke was hauling ass behind it. But for the most part, I saw Jovan Jones trying to cut in the middle, but he had to stay on Shaqiri.
Yeah.
And then Bryce Duke. But where's everybody else?
Yeah, all the defenders were they were miles behind. Everybody was miles behind.
I mean, it was just a very frustrating game, especially after 10 days off, especially the fact that it was such a crucial game. Now, it's made the Columbus game coming up a must-win, because if you don't win this, if you lose this game straight out, the playoffs are basically over. Well, you have no chance.
And this is the truest of must-wins, because it's like you said. I mean, we're sitting, and we're going to go over, our standing situation in a little bit. But as far as the game is concerned, this game that we just played against Chicago Fire is really a huge opportunity that we lost. It should have been in the bag, especially against such a poor offensive team. And they just brought their best out when it came to playing us.
They didn't look poor yesterday.
Well, no, they looked like monsters yesterday.
The last thing I wanted to go over before we get through this Chicago and move on.
Yeah.
There was one kind of bright spot that wasn't a bright spot, and it's that you finally got your boy out on the bench.
Yeah, but we got a hashtag free Noah Allen. I mean, we finally get him near the field, right? I mean, he's not at home watching the game, and he never sniffs the turf. Like,
nope.
What is happening here? And then Gibbs, that's another player that when I was watching this game, I thought to myself, my goodness, man, this guy, he went out to go play for England, I think, in some of the World Cup preparation games.
That was a while back.
I guess, whatever. I mean, look, Gibbs, I really expected something huge from him, and it's been very duddish with this guy. And every time I see Noah Allen play on the field, man, I could tell that he's got some spunk. And the fact that he didn't get not 1 minute in this game, dude, I mean, hashtag free Noah Allen, man. Get him out there.
Yeah, man, we need some Noah Allen in our lives. But so Chicago's done. Now let's look at the standings. And it's not looking necessarily great, but I mean, it's not completely over either.
No.
So we are now in ninth place. We have 36 points. We have New England ahead of us with 2 points, Columbus in seventh with 41, Cincinnati and Orlando in fifth and sixth with 42. So we still have a chance to catch up to Columbus
Yeah, we do.
because we play them. Now we play them on Tuesday. If we win that game, we've at that point played 30 games just like they have, and we'll only be 2 points behind them. Obviously, we no longer control our own destiny because we're going to need them to lose to somebody else, and we're going to have to keep winning.
Yeah.
But that essentially makes this upcoming game a must-win.
Yeah. And the worst part is that we have Atlanta with the same amount of points as us. You know, we got Chicago and we got Charlotte FC that are also 35 points. I mean, Toronto at this point is still, I mean, obviously with Toronto, I think they only have like 3 games left.
Yeah.
So it'll be very hard for them.
That's the benefit though, because if you see all the teams in the playoff like hunt from 5 all the way down to 13, there's only 3 teams that have played 29 games, and that's us, Columbus, and Orlando. Everybody else has played more games than us. So we technically still have this game to play on Tuesday against Columbus, and we can gain 3 points, and we'll be even as far as games played, but we'll be ahead of everybody if we win in points. So we're still in good standing because at that point, if we win on Tuesday, we'll be ahead of New England. We'll be in 8th place, and we'll be only 2 points behind Columbus. So there is a chance. Is it a great chance? Obviously not if we lose. But here are the upcoming games. We have
and they play
Columbus
Houston. New England plays Houston.
Yeah, but at that point, we still have a game played less than them.
Yes.
So we're still good because at that point, we just got to keep winning to stay ahead of them.
Yeah.
Now, we got Columbus. If we beat Columbus, again, we're in decent standing because we're only 2 points ahead behind them. And then we have DC, which is literally the worst team in the league.
Yes.
Now, do I feel confident saying we can beat them? Absolutely not. I'm not doing what I did last week where I was trashing Chicago. No, we're not doing that again. I got enough pie on my face this week. So can we beat them? If we were at home, I might talk a little shit. But because we're on the road, I'm going to keep quiet. So we got Columbus home. We can win that. DC, hopefully, we can take care of business. Then we have Toronto as the last road game. Once we're done with those 3 games, we have 2 home games to close out the season. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We got to get these W's.
Yeah, and then that's going to be a crucial game against Columbus Crew. We got a crucial game against Orlando. I mean, every game is crucial at this point, but those 2 right there are going to be the defining games to move us up into the ladder.
Let me make something very clear to you and everybody listening. The playoffs have started for us.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The playoffs have started for us. The whole win or go home, that has started. We have to, and we have 5 games left. We have to win 4 of those and maybe draw 1. We have to go 4-1-0.
And I hope that Cincinnati loses. Yeah, I believe, 4-1-0, no?
I can't remember if the draws go first or second. This whole soccer thing.
Yeah. I think it's 4. Yeah, I think it's 4-1-0.
Or whatever. We need 4 wins and 1 draw. That's the worst we could do. We could do 4 wins and a draw. In my mind, that's worst case scenario because other than that,
that's worst case.
I don't know if we can make it.
That is worst case. Let me tell you, Chicago has really humbled us. This game against Chicago really humbled us because
no, I'm gonna tell you what humbled me: the Red Bulls. Because before the Red Bulls, I was saying I wanted a home playoff game.
Yeah,
home playoff game, my ass.
Right now, we'd be lucky if we could just get 7th place. I mean,
yes.
Look, it's definitely possible. You know what scares me? Watching the game over the weekend, Cincinnati destroyed
San Jose.
Oh my goodness! And that's what that's one team I do not like. So that really pissed me off.
Oh yeah. Oh, because we blew it against them.
Yes.
Look, we're gonna look back at 2 things at the end of the season. We're gonna look back at 2 things. We're gonna look at that Cincinnati game overall and that Pozuelo boot to the chest. Those two right there are the two moments in this season that will completely change the outcome. Because
I mean, as far as that would have eventually be what would cost us our playoff chances. No, I mean the playoff chances that we have. It's like you said, four wins and 1 draw would be worst case scenario. Best case scenario, we go undefeated, but that's delusional. Yeah. I don't know. I'm really hoping for the best, and we got a really, really big game coming up. We got Columbus that we're going to be playing, and it's a showdown that I've been waiting for, especially because I know that they've been doing fairly well. And again, it's one of the closer competitors as far as the standings are concerned. I was looking over some of their stats, and yeah, they got a lot of goals. They got 3 more goals scored than we do, and they're a very, very good defensive team as well. They've only allowed 33 goals against them all season. So they're actually in the positive in that sense. They've scored 39. They've allowed 33. It's going to be a tight fight against them for sure.
Well, remember, we played them less than 2 weeks ago already. So we just saw them. We both felt, and I think collectively, most people felt that we could have won that game if Pozuelo's playing. Right? I think that was the underlying theme. Like, we win that game if Pozuelo's playing because Columbus didn't play very well. Cucho, we had him locked down. He didn't have any chances to score. The one mistake we made in that game wasn't a mistake, but McVey got his ass torched that game by Diaz. Yeah. Up and down that field. This Tuesday, McVey cannot play left back.
Yeah.
Hell, I don't want McVey back there. I don't want Gibbs back there. Either give us Jones or Allen. One of those two.
And Jovan Jones, Jovan Jones, is he a left back? Isn't he like a center defensive midfielder? I thought he was a defensive midfielder.
He's playing left back.
Oh my goodness. I mean, yeah, we need something fresh here because McVey, he's just not doing it. Gibbs, get out of here. Get Noah Allen in the game. Let's get some freshness. And you know what? I was watching the press conference that Phil Neville was having, and I don't know how many times Phil Neville said the word freshness. He talked about fresh and freshness at least 10 times in that interview.
But how much more fresh do you want than 10 days off?
I don't know, but that's one thing that I noticed in the press conference that's he mentioned that 100 times. And if you want something fresh, free Noah Allen. Get him out there, bro.
Yes.
Get him out there. Don't eat crap anymore.
I doubt that he puts Noah Allen out there as much as I want that. But put Jones back there. Especially if Damian Lowe is still injured, which is a big blow for us if he is, then you're going to have McVey, where I feel like he should always play center back, next to Sailor, and put Jones on left back. Don't bring Gibbs back in because Diaz torched us last game. He only scored once, but McVey looked hard, so much so that he got taken off. The only time he got taken off all year. So you can't make that mistake. This is do or die now. We're in the playoffs now.
Yeah, and Harry Neville was out also in the subs last game too.
Was he?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
That I didn't realize.
He was in the subs list.
Well, I want Noah Allen back there, but if they don't give us Noah Allen, this is what I want. I want Jones, McVey, Sailor, and Yedlin in the back. We have Mota, Gregory, and Pozuelo holding down the midfield, like always. And then give me Higuain, Robert Taylor, and Bryce Duke. Go out with that. Bet you we win. Oh, and Drake Callender. None of this Marsman stuff. That was enough. Yeah. That was a cute experiment. That was a cute experiment. Out. Yeah, that's it. Give us back our Callender. Give us back our Drake. Give her a 6 god. I want my 6 god back.
And so are we basically saying that Lowe is he's not coming back next couple games, I guess?
Look, if he just got injured on Saturday and couldn't play, I thought it's a quick turnaround. I thought he's going to be ready for Tuesday. I hope he is.
I mean, is
I
it a
don't know,
wrap for this
man.
guy too? Like, I mean, I saw him.
Yeah, I don't.
He was in the subs list also. I mean, he was there watching the game as
He's
a substitute.
he's slow. I don't know. He's a little clunky. I like Sailor. I'm okay with Sailor playing over Mabika, and
I
I
just
like
felt
McVay at center back.
I just felt like defensively we kind of, pooped the bed. We pooped the bed last game. We really did. I mean, it was a lot worse than I had anticipated from a defensive perspective on this team than I mean, like you mentioned in the last podcast, if we get scored on, right, from this team, then there's a problem. We're talking about three
Well,
goals.
yeah, we're about to say they're a professional team. I mean, they score. I'm okay with them scoring on us, but for them to score 3 goals on us when they went like 3 games without scoring a goal. I told you they've had 7 scoreless draws. I didn't look into it, but I'm sure if I did, I'm sure that they have at least 10 to 12 games where they've been shut out. Like this isn't a good offensive team. So to let them explode on you, like it's just come on,
Yeah,
man. It
yeah.
was just it was
Well,
just ridiculous.
and the commentators during the game, you know what they said after they scored the first goal? Like a couple minutes later, they're like, "Oh man, this game is actually it's got to turn out to either be they need a goal towards the end of the game to ice the game, or they're gonna have to play the greatest defense of their life." And then Shaqiri and Duran go off before the game
Mhm.
starts,
Yeah, and
which
they
is
had a
just
bunch of chances
embarrassing.
also. Look, they were pressing and we couldn't get out of our own way. We couldn't put together a couple passes. It looked like it was really bad. I'm not sure why we looked so poor building up the field. Like I said, the whole first half, I felt like it was just long balls trying to catch Vasilev. Like he's gonna make any magic if
Yeah, yeah.
manages to get the ball down. Like it was just really poor. Like you said, when Duke came on, I felt like we built a little more structure, but by that time it was too late.
So what do you predict the starting lineup to be? I mean, you talked a little bit about it, but
Okay, what I predicted to be, or I'll tell you what I predicted to be. I predict that Marsman's still going to be out there, and I'm going to hate my life. I predict that McVay and Sailor are still going to be the center backs. Yedlin and Gibbs will be the left and right back because because I'm a
because
battered
that's it.
fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I got, of course, Mota, Gregory, and Pozuelo in the middle, and Higuain, Robert Taylor, and I think Lassiter will start this game.
Oh, so you think Vasilev's gonna ride the pine?
Yes. I think Vassell does
Okay.
not get in this game. I think he'll be hard headed and still put Gibbs out there. I think that he'll still stick with Marsman out there for some weird reason. I think he's still, as much as I hate it, I think he's going to play him. But I do think that Lassiter gets to start this game.
So you don't think Duke will see the field? I mean, I agree with you on the Gibbs
He will
standpoint.
in the second
Yeah.
half.
Okay, so you don't think he's gonna start. You think that he is gonna see the game, see the
Of course,
field in the second half.
Duke is Duke is better, in my opinion. He's better than all the wings outside of Robert Taylor.
Yeah, outside of
And
Robert Taylor. It's clear cut.
and as far as skills go, like skilled soccer player, Bryce Duke is probably the second best player on the team. Oh,
Yeah.
third.
Well,
I guess I have to
third,
put
yes.
Higuain back there. So probably third most skilled player on the entire team. How do you keep that guy out of the game? Like you have to play him more than 30 minutes. But I guess I get it if you want to have just pace on the wings. Oh,
Well,
that's
listen,
not great for us.
I don't envy Phil Neville in this spot because this is another game where if the team loses, there's going to be a lot of binoculars on Phil Neville, and they're gonna start asking some questions that are going to be pretty uncomfortable. We're talking about getting to a point where the nitty gritty is right around the corner, and if we don't execute, this is going to be a bad look.
Well, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Give me your prediction. Well, what do you think in Tuesday?
Oh man, I mean, I- it's a home game, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing that we've always had going for us. We're not
Mm-hmm.
away. We're finally at home in
We're
the
one of the
comfort
best
of
home
our
teams in the league.
yes, in the comfort of our own Drive Pink Stadium. So and Columbus, they just pooped the bed last week against Montreal, where they had it in the bag. So they got to be deflated. I think that this is going to go down to like a 3-1, 3-2. I think it might be a 3-2 game. Goes to Miami.
Okay. I think that we played well against Columbus, even though we didn't win. I felt like you could see that game and tell that we should have. If Pozuelo's out there, I think we would win that game. That's why we said that Pozuelo cost us 6 points with his boot. I think being at home, we will get that W. I don't think they score on us. Even though Damian Lowe not being there, I felt like we had a good game plan. We shut down Kutro, and I think we'll do it again. Make sure McVay's not on the left back. I think we win 2-0. I think we get 2 on them. I think we win 2-0. And I think we keep our small playoff hopes alive.
I agree with that. I think that's a pretty good call. I think that's a good amount. I could see that definitely happening more than my exaggerated outcome. Even though I'd like my exaggerated outcome, I want goals and goals and goals. And hopefully one of them is Emerson. Hopefully. Or you know what? You know what? Forget about Emerson. Forget about him. Hopefully Noah Allen gets on the field and he has a freaking goal, because I'm getting tired of this.
If Noah Allen gets on the field and he scores a goal, I think Chris might literally lose his mind.
I am going to lose my mind. And
I think you will literally lose your mind.
And we're going to replace that face that you have with the hearts of Emerson, and we're going to put Noah Allen's face on there. Pepper Pine, stand up, okay?
I like it. Well, I mean, that's all I really got. I mean, I'll be out there celebrating my birthday. Hopefully for my birthday, they give me a dub. If not, I mean, our playoff chances go to hell, and I'll be celebrating my birthday anyway, so whatever.
Yeah, and we'll have some more Undertaker tombstone music coming up in the next podcast.
It's a straight burial at that point. I don't know. We'll figure something else out that day, because that's going to be a sad day.
Yeah, well, I look forward to it. I definitely look forward to it. I can't wait to see you guys out there for sure.
I feel confident. All right, well, you got anything else, Chris?
No, nothing else. Just give us a damn win and get Noah Allen out there, man. Damn.
I'll tell you, I believe that we will win.
I believe it.
All right, let's go. See you next one.
I believe that we